Warning, the following content might not be suitable for general audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. First things first, just leaving the plaid pantry here. Got me some coffee because we've got a good journey ahead of us. Creepers. So I normally say these are kind of stories we don't usually cover here on the channel, but we've actually done quite a few in the last couple years. And today, just like any story, very unique, sad, intriguing, but first and foremost, this one is actually unsolved. On the early morning hours of January 17th of 1994, Tyrom Walter Theis would kill 3 women at the Leathers gas station, not too far from where we are here on Southeast Cochrane Drive off of Palmquest, about 2 miles from where the Leathers gas station sat. Today we're gonna go up and check out the location of where all this happened, and maybe you guys can help solve an unsolved mystery. Gresham's probably most gruesome murder and still unsolved. So stay tuned. The Leather gas station murders. All right, directly in front of us is Highway 26 here, the Mount Hood Highway. Sandy and Mount Hood being that way, Portland and Gresham that away. And before we get up to the location where all this happened, I kind of wanted to rewind to the summer of '93, that August. Tyrom was actually fired from Leathers for stealing a very small amount of money. I think it was like $44. And he was terminated. But he actually turned that money back in. He actually came back to the station, admitted his crime, returned the money and apologized. And then disappeared. The murders happened. He was never seen again. We're gonna go up here, check out the actual location where this all took place. Very sad, very sad story. 3 women lost their lives that day. Like I said, we're gonna go up here to the exact location, which is just right on the other side of this Mount Hood Highway here. All right, we just crossed over Highway 26 here, and now we are on Orient and Kane Drive. And this is it. This is the location to, well, pretty close. We still got to go down this little lip here. But as you can see, White's Country Meats here. And I got to kind of traverse down this little incline here. But where we are headed is right here in front of us. This is the actual location to where all this happened back in '94. And it is no longer here. Obviously, you guys can see it's just a vacant lot. So Tyrom, already kind of pleading guilty, never really being charged other than just having to return the money. Return that money. And that early morning, the police investigators came here to find 3 dead women in a back shed, which I'm kind of still seeing a little bit of the layout of where the pumps would have stood, the little driveway area as well. A customer came to get gas, realized no one was coming to help, and sent the police, and the police came out to find the 3 victims in a shed back in here, which I'm guessing this would have been kind of the back entrance, you know, the back area here. You can almost see the little curb here where the building would have sat. And when police investigators got here, they realized that all 3 women were shot execution style, face down, and like I said, being shot in the back of the head. All 3 victims laid here dead, and investigators didn't know what the heck happened. All they knew is they showed up here and there were 3 women dead, and it went unsolved. No one knew who did it until about a month later. Investigators actually received a tip stating they knew who committed these tragic crimes, and when police investigators were tipped off, they actually went into Southeast Portland to Tyrom's apartment to realize he had dipped, he had vanished and was no longer seen again. And unfortunately, there were 3 victims: Virginia K. Endicott, Rosalie Faye Gertz, and Mary Beth Carey. All were employed here at the Leathers gas station. Their bodies were discovered in that storage room, and that morning the gas station would also been robbed for $9,000. So whoever did it knew the money was here. And unfortunately, 3 women were shot execution style that morning, all in fact working here with Tyrom at one point. So Theis' cousin, Lawrence Benjamin Schroff, as well as his friend, Lori Stevens, were both charged and convicted 10 years each for that day, kind of pleading guilty to the murders, saying that they didn't actually go inside. They were here to just drop him off, and Lori Stevens, being the driver, kind of tied them all in to this day. And eventually Tyrom's cousin giving him up to the detectives, which would lead them to Tyrom's Southeast Portland apartment, to realize Tyrom skipped town. He took off, never to be seen again. And police investigators had all the, witnesses that day, and all the leads kind of tied them to him being the murderer, and he skipped town. They actually waited, I think it was like a week and a half, to get all the information and the evidence, and by then Tyrom took off, never to be seen again. And like I said, this video, or these stories, have been featured on a couple of really prominent shows. One you may have heard of, which was really famous, that I absolutely loved, with Robert Stack, was Unsolved Mysteries. Actually did a feature of this as well. But yeah, really nothing much cooking here anymore. Just being here gives me those kind of unsettling vibes of knowing 3 people lost their lives here so tragically. You can almost kind of see too where the driveway started. It was kind of one of those, pull around gas stations where you would have basically pulled right up here, and this is where the pumps would have sat. You can almost kind of see, obviously where the driveway was. A couple places here for the gas station pulls where you don't, bugger up your car pulling in. Some old electrical wires. But yeah, I take it they pulled up here, and knowing that, there was so many different routes to get out of here, they could have gone anywhere. I mean, they could have gone up into the mountains. He could have escaped that day. Just very, very, very weird and intriguing, and just really sad all the way around, like I said. But you can almost see here too where the driveway was, where the pumps would have sat. And I actually found some old pictures here of the station. I'm gonna kind of pull back here so you guys can get a wider shot, but this is where it was. You would have seen detectives having this area kind of secure, with the gas station being here kind of in the back here. But that would have been it right about there. So this like I said, was featured on Unsolved Mysteries. It was actually on America's Most Wanted episode. It's actually considered one of the most notorious murders in Oregonian as of 2016. And like I said, as of today, 2022, June, it's still completely unsolved, and Tyrom's whereabouts is no longer. I mean, no one knows. So pretty crazy to think that all happened right here. And he worked here, like I said, he started working here in '92. And oh, I guess the amount was $30. So he began working here April 9th of '92, and he was terminated by Harry Stanton, the company's supervisor. And he formally apologized and returned the money, but they really they realized later, once the other money was stolen and that Tyrom had been part of it, it was kind of like, I think he did it as a cover-up to kind of show remorse from the actions that he had already done. But I think he had bigger, you know, intentions later on. So at this point, he's been missing for 28 years, 4 months, and 11 days. Tyrom stands 6'4", and the exact charge would have been aggravated murder, and that was formally charged in '94. Or I'm sorry, he's been wanted since '94. So pretty tragic series of events, and like I said, unsolved to this day. So just like any case, if you guys have any info, or you happen to be out here in Gresham in '94 and remember it, make sure you chime in and say hello. I know just about maybe 5 years ago or so, they actually did a big memorial out here for the 3 victims, and all the families came to, you know, show their continuous love and let people know that this case is still open. They had a big candlelight visual out here where the gas station would have sat and stuff. So pretty sad, but like I said, going back here to kind of do my research and stuff too, it is very eerie being here knowing that these 3 women lost their lives right back in here. Now, I'm not sure if the station, I believe this is the layout for the station, because it was real little. I mean, you could almost see the exact location of where the station laid, and I believe, you know, that would have been where the pumps were and whatnot. So this would have been it. Back in here is where the little storage area would have been. So pretty crazy, pretty eerie too. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of different routes that they could have escaped that day. And with the Mount Hood National Forest not being too far from here, Tyrom had a pretty good chance of getting out of Dodge, never to be seen again. I mean, if you were an avid camper or anything like that, I mean, you could disappear for who knows how long. So maybe he's dead. They found some bones in Troutdale years ago, and they thought they were actually onto something, and then they realized when those came back that they didn't have any kind of DNA. But police investigators did release some pictures that weren't seen until I think about maybe 10-20 years after the case, and those were some of the pictures that I'll enter here of actually the crime scene and that day of the police kind of being here. So pretty sad. So it took until February 10th of '94 to get a break in the case. When an informant called the law, they released his name the next day, and law enforcement went to his Southeast Portland house to realize that Tyrom was gone. And on February 16th of '94, Multnomah County judge signed an arrest warrant accusing Theis of these heinous crimes, and a federal warrant was issued the following day. A lot of prosecutors and detectives think that he may have fled to Idaho, and there's really no information other than they think that maybe he may have had ties to Idaho somehow and had some people help him kind of get away. It was noted that Tyrom has a distinctive Black Panther tattoo on his abdomen, and he also may use the alias Tyrom Walter Krosner. So, yep, nothing sat here since those days. And I think people just kind of realize if they know what happened here as to why this has been desolate for so long. But Stevens was arrested on April 13th of '94 and charged with felony murder for driving the getaway. She had driven both men to the gas station on the morning of the murders, but was unaware of what Thyrom had planned. They said that they stayed in the car while Theis entered and exited the station. Despite this, Stevens pled guilty to her charges on October 8th of '94 and were both sentenced to 10 years in prison for their roles. They pleaded a bargaining agreement for their reduced sentences. Both Stevens and Sharif agreed to testify against Theis if he's ever brought to trial. So they got their sentences reduced, stating that, you know, they signed something later on saying that they would help convict him if he was ever caught. So like I said, really tragic, really unfortunate events here that morning, and it is still unsolved. So if you guys have any information, make sure you contact your local police department and leave comments below if you remember the case. If you have any information. The family said that no one really had been interested in the case or even bringing light to it for a long time. So I wanted to come up here today, pay our respects to obviously the folks who lost their lives, kind of just keep keep this investigation going. Things that sit stagnant really don't get looked at. So kind of just coming up here to not only explain what happened that morning, but to pay our respects to those that lost their lives right here at the Leathers gas station. So yeah, I'm right. With the this front picture, you would have been able to see the two telephone poles, or you know, the light poles would have been one on each side. You can actually still see the wires where this one would have been right here. So here's the wires for this one. And like I said, the doorway would have been, you know, from a straight shot. From the straight shot, you would have seen the two bay doors right here. And then if you move the camera over just a hair, the doorway entrance right here where the detective would have walked in would have been right here. And in this shot, you can see all the police tape kind of put up where the detectives were doing their homework, trying to figure out what the heck happened. So sad.
That's going to do it for today. If you guys are new here, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. You can ring that bell down below. That way when I creep, you guys will be the first to creep. And if you did enjoy this, give it a thumbs up. Until next time, creeper out for now. Peace.